welcome to another edition on African history. I always tell you that we are supposed to just bring about all African history all over the world, all over Africa. We're trying to educate you, okay? Those of you who don't know what's happening in Africa, or if you are in Eritrea and you don't know what's happening somewhere in Sudan, or you are from Sudan and you don't know what's happening in Djibouti, we bring you African history just for you to know the background of each and every country, but it's just subject only to Africa. And today I have an amazing topic for you. We are going to look at Djibouti. So those of you who are in Djibouti, or you are not around Djibouti, but that you want to know the history about Djibouti, my duty is to sit here and break it out to you. My name is Janet Agbalanyo. I'll be going for a break. When I come back, it still continues. Welcome back from that, and we are here again, and we're going to talk about Djibouti. So now Djibouti is just a small, strategically located country on the northeast coast of the Horn of Africa. And those of you who don't know what the Horn of Africa is Djibouti, Eritrea, Somalia, and then I'll tell you the other country anyway. And it's situated on the Bab el Mandeb Street, which lies to the east and separates the Red Sea from the Gulf of Eden. I know you all know what Eden is. Should we talk about the Garden of Eden anyway? But then it's just around that area, and formerly known as the French Somalia land. And this particular one was somewhere in 1896 to 1967. And the French territory of the Afar and Assas was also around the 1967 to 77. The country took Djibouti as its name when it gained independence from France on June 27, 1977. So if you don't know the year where Djibouti took their independence, it's just around June 27 to 1977. So Djibouti city is built on a coral rift that's just into the northern entrance of the Gulf. Other major towns are Obak, Jajura, Ali, Sabia, Atta, and then Dika. The country's Lilliputian expert believes its regional and then geopolitical importance. So you know, Djibouti and then Somalia, Eritrea have a bit of political unrest, so they kind of work around political issues. So most of their geopolitical importance also has to do with where they're coming from. And then the capital is in the site of a modern deep water port that served Indian Ocean and Red Sea traffic and hosted French naval bases. Djibouti city is also the railhead of the only line serving Addis Ababa. You know, those of you who know Addis Ababa, we know it's somewhere in Ethiopia, and the capital of the neighboring Ethiopia. So Addis Ababa, we all know, is the capital of Ethiopia. So Djibouti has something to do with Addis Ababa as well. So let's look at another, or the boundaries that Djibouti have with other countries. So Djibouti is bounded by Eritrea to the north. That is, if you don't know, especially if you're in Djibouti and you don't know the countries that you have around, Djibouti is just bounded with Eritrea to the north and Ethiopia to the west and southwest, and then Somalia, we have Somalia and then Somaliland to the south, and the Gulf of Tajura, which opens into the Gulf of Eden. So these are some few boundaries that you can find somewhere around Djibouti. So let's also go straight to the landscape around Djibouti as well. If you want to know how it works, it varies, and the variation and all that. So the landscape of Djibouti is varied and extreme, ranging from ridged mountains to the north of series of old desert plains. So there are plains around Djibouti if you want to really look at how the landscape is. That is, when you're around Djibouti, you could see that some of the landscapes are a bit high, some are low, but this particular one, it's just around a series of lower desert plains and separated by parallel plateaus in the west and then south. Its highest peak is Mount Musa at somewhere around 6,654 feet. So that is how high it is. And the lowest point, which is also at the lowest in Africa, and is in the Saline Lake, that is somewhere around 509 feet. Or if you want to just measure it in meters, it's somewhere around 155 meters below sea level. So that is how the landscape in Djibouti looks like. So let's look at other stuff in regards to Djibouti. The country is internationally renowned as a geologic treasure trove located at the triple junction of the Red Sea, Gulf of Eden, and East of Africa Rift System. And the country's hosts significant seasons and the geothermal activities, slightly tremendous around frequency, and most of the terrain is littered somewhere basalt from past volcanoes activities. In November 1998, the eruption of the volcano, completely with speculations, lava flows, attracted the attention of other people who study into volcano worldwide. So these things happened somewhere in Djibouti, and then it attracted people from worldwide coming in to just take a look and then study it further. Of particular interest was the tremendous activities that accompanied the eruption and led to the wandering of more than a meter of plate between Africa and Arabian plateaus as well. So let's also go very deep down into other parts of Djibouti. So beside the Lake Assal, the other major inland body of water is Lake Abyei, located on Djibouti's southwest borders with Ethiopia. We've already established the fact that Ethiopia and Djibouti have a bit of, they are closer a bit in regards to border. So you can just see some of these things around their borders as well. And the country is completely devoid of any permanent above ground rivers. Although some subway rivers exist, I know about some of these few rivers that you can talk about in Djibouti, like something called the Red Sea that has to do with Ethiopia and other stuff. So we're just trying to look at some of the rivers that we can talk about in Djibouti and then where they share borders with. So they are far, that is parts of a language being spoken in Djibouti, was a dialect communion with a Sahu. So Sahu is just a tribe, okay, and then they also speak the Afar language, usually clarified as an Eastern Kuzitic language of the Afro-Ascentic language. Then the Afar lives in the Afar lives separately populated area to the west-north of the Gulf of Tajura. So if you go to Afar, somewhere in Djibouti, you can see they are around the north. That is where you can locate them. And this region includes part of former as well as extent far as Far people. The sultan's roles are now largely ceremonial, and then social division within the traditional Afar hierarchies are of the dimension importance. So there is a hierarchy that is when you talk about hierarchy, you know, sometimes you can have the chief. I mean, there's the way they do things in their social gathering. You could have a chief, you can have elders, and then it starts from the top to down. Like right now we have president, we have the vice president, so it's been grouped like that if you want to understand what hierarchy is. So socially, that's what they do around Afar. And one thing that is so important about them is that the Afar are also found across borders in neighboring Ethiopia. We already established that fact. In their population distribution in two countries forms a pattern that is somewhat around triangular shape, and is often referred to as the Afar triangle. So you could, those of you who are very good with geology. You could see that the landscape, it's kind of look in the shape like that. In some countries or some places it looks a bit oval, but this one it looks like a triangle. So that is how the Afar place looks like. So Djibouti city is a home of a long established community of the Yamani Arabs and the houses of sizable continent of French technical advisors and military personnel. So they are mostly military personnel, and I know it's because of the political unrest they have in there. They have so much of it, this tribal war and then contention all over. So you could just see what they are mostly into. In recent decades, this group have been joined by small but significant numbers of ethnic Ethiopia as well as the Greek and Italian expatriates. So Italians and Greeks and Ethiopians are mostly found around that area as well. So Djibouti is the most urbanist country in the sub-Sahara Africa, with nearly 450 of the population classified as urban. The annual rates of population increase in higher than the world average, but also dropped significantly since the 1980s. Nearly 1/3 of the population is under age 15. Very interesting anyway. And most 1/3 is between the age of 15 to 29. And the average life span is about 66 years for women and 61 years for men. Wow, that is quite interesting anyway. I wonder how they were able to bring all those figures out, but then it's something we should be proud of in regards to Djibouti, how people are able to calculate the lifespan of other people. So both the Afar and the Somalian maintain ties with relatives living in neighboring Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia. So if you go to Djibouti, you still have people living around Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia as well. So they are family anyway. So since independence, many newcomers from rural areas and regional beyond the national frontier have migrated to live with family members in Djibouti city. Number of refugees. So this is one section of Djibouti. You know, Somalia, we have a lot of refugees coming from Somalia, Eritrea, mostly the Horn of Africa, what we call the Horn of Africa. So in terms of refugees, in addition to thousands of economic migrants who on ongoing basis clerically entered Djibouti and illegally assumed a variety of jobs. So they went in there and they got jobs there. That means they are quite a kind of people you can just resonate yourself with. And the country, and let's also look at another section of Djibouti. We are going to talk about their colors and their way of dressing. So Djibouti is renowned for its delicate multicultural texture. So they like fabrics that has to do with different colors. Eritrea also love colors, which are made into strong light garments called the fata. These garments are sold in capital, colorful central markets. So that is just something little about Djibouti. If you don't know your history, I think you need to read more. This one episode that I think I enjoyed myself. I think you also enjoyed. Those of you who don't know about what is happening in Africa, or you don't know your history, it is time for us to learn more. Thank you for watching this particular episode, and I want you to just send us your comment. Do send us your comment. I'm going to read that for you. I am very grateful that you stayed with us. Keep on watching Alena Helena Media TV. Thank you.